All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Oh, I said it again, didn't I? All right. Welcome back to the Pigskin Prognosis. This is week 14. I am your co host, Zach. I'm here with Sully this week.
Yeah, what's up, everybody?
And we have an exciting week of updates for you. Injuries, fantasy playoffs are starting, some playoff clinches, and the last round of bye weeks. So stick around for an awesome time. We've got some good information, some good fantasy information coming your way this week to hopefully help you get those last couple points that you need to get into the playoffs. If your fantasy league has not already started playoffs and it's close, it's an opportunity for you to squeak in there if you're on that bubble. But yeah, stick around. We got an awesome podcast this week for you.
Indeed, we do. Fuck the Cleveland Browns. People are gonna be like, "Damn, starting off aggressive 2 minutes into the podcast." You're goddamn right, we are. Only reason I'm saying that is because Zach was talking a bunch of shit, saying how Jameis Winston sucks right before we started recording, and then he has a just phenomenal 70-yard throw that went for a TD, and then he was just all over Winston.
I said no such thing.
It's the only reason why we're starting off
like this. I was all for Jameis Winston helping out the Cleveland Browns.
You lie. You liar. You lie.
I may have said something along the lines of bench him, but that might have been it was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah, it was a joke. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'd say the same thing too if I got called out. Anyway, we're starting off the podcast this week. Yeah, usually it's fucking Zach trying to get me all riled up right in the beginning, but no.
It's the other way around this time.
Yeah, calling people out on their lies. All right, so we'll start off with the bye weeks. Got a handful, actually, the last round, like Zach said. So Baltimore, Denver, who's beating the shit out of the Browns right now. Houston, Indianapolis, the Patriots, who have been eliminated from playoff contention, thank God. And the Washington Commanders round out your top six. They're going to be on bye weeks this week.
Yeah, so if you have anybody playing on those teams this week, make sure you check your schedules, check your lineups, and replace those with some people that are on your bench and not put on the IR, which we'll talk about here in a minute, too. We have a couple of big names that got put on the IR, some with season-ending injuries and some with potentially just a couple games out. But we always start everything out with the highest scores for fantasy in this previous week, with the caveat that we do not include the Monday night game since we record in the middle of the Monday night game. Currently, the Browns are losing to the Denver Broncos, so anybody in the Cleveland game might be on this list as a potential high scorer. The one person that I'm looking at right now would be David Njoku, who has 2 touchdowns in the day. But
Jerry Jeudy's on the list technically too.
Oh, that's right. Well, he has.
He was as we said right now. He is the number one scorer of the week.
Okay, well, that's
the way we say.
Yeah, I didn't even see his yardages, and he has a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So
yeah, he's got 30.7. So and we're 9:50 left in the third. So
yeah, okay. Well, so there you go. So we're keeping track of it, but it's not going to be on our top 5 for the week. So
yep.
All right. So the top highest scorer, with the caveat of not including the Monday night game, Brock Bowers with 30.2 points, 10 receptions, 140 yards, a touchdown, and 1 carry for 2 yards. Overall, great performance from him. Glad to see him back up on the top of the list here. I wasn't expecting him to be in the top 5, even in the top 10 of scoring, but I think the yardages is really what helped him carry that point total up into the 30s, as he is one of now 2 in the top highest scorers with 30 points or more, if we include Jerry Jeudy on the list.
Agreed.
We have another one on the top 5. This guy, I like watching him play. His game is very fun to watch games. He was the first player now to record a rushing touchdown, a passing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown all in the same game.
First QB to do it.
Sorry, yeah. Well,
Because I thought the same thing, and then I was corrected by my wife yesterday. So.
Okay. Well, your
'Cause
wife knows.
she heard the statistic apparently better than I did.
Oh, well, I was just about to say your wife knows more football about us, and we're making a podcast, so maybe we're in the wrong profession.
Well, that's why this is a hobby for the two of us and not our fucking main jobs.
But Josh Allen, he had 28.42 points. He only threw 17 passes in what was the first Snow Bowl of the year for any team. Well, I take that back. There was the Cleveland game, but that was kind of like a whiteout for a little bit. The game here in Buffalo snowed the entire game, and conditions got worse as the game went on. So there wasn't much passing. So it was a run-heavy game for both teams. Cook went off. CMC went off until he got hurt. But Josh Allen, he had 13 completions for 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 carries for 18 yards with a rushing touchdown and 1 receiving touchdown, which it's weird to me that they count the pass to Amari Cooper as a passing touchdown, and Amari Cooper kind of shovel passed it back to him, which counts as a receiving touchdown on the same play. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess it makes sense because it also happened to, I think it was Marcus Mariota with Tennessee against the Chiefs a couple years ago, where he threw a ball at the 2-yard line and it was batted back to him and he just picked it up and ran it in.
Yeah.
So really cool statistic on that, and overall just a really fun game to watch.
Yep. Then for our third, we got Jaden Daniels. Glad to see him back in the top. I know he had a few weeks where he struggled. I would say was the lead contender for the Rookie of the Year up until a few weeks ago with 27.64 points, 25 completions on 30 attempts, which is a pretty good fucking statistic. 206 yards, 3 TDs, 1 pick, 9 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown. Not a bad fucking stat line whatsoever. I mean, granted, I say not a bad stat line as if we're out there throwing 206 fucking yards in a football game at the professional level. I probably couldn't do that in a pickup game, but yeah, no, good to see them back.
Yeah, good stat line from him. I like to see that the Commanders are starting to pick it up. They went through a 3-game skid where they were just struggling to kind of find some points, and I don't really know what changed, but this is the kind of Jaden Daniels that we were expecting to see all year, that we didn't really get at the beginning of the year. Then it kind of picked up, and that's what we were
played
expecting.
The Titans. That's what happened.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they also did pretty well against some other above 500 teams. So I don't know. Good to see him back up at the top of the list and within the top 5. I think he's probably been on the top 5, our top 5 highest scorers the most out of any other player, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I would say, especially during that run after, before their skid, he was in the top 5 majority, if not 1 or 2, for quite a while.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably our 3rd or 4th time talking about him. So it's a good person to look at. I know some seasons are about to end if you're not in the playoffs. Some playoff runs are about to start. If you don't have him and your league is not a dynasty league and he's up for grabs next year, maybe look at drafting him in one of the earlier rounds. He's definitely shown his worth so far this year, and even his bad weeks are decent scores for a quarterback.
It's not too early to start thinking about next season already. I know I am.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure after this week I get eliminated from one of my leagues. So yeah. All right, then fourth up. I'm going to talk about this because he played my team, and it pains me to fucking read the stat line, but I'm gonna do it anyway. That'd be Bucky fucking Irvin. 27.5 points, 25 carries, 152 yards, which I'm not shocked by. 1 touchdown, 3 receptions for 33 yards.
His middle name is fucking?
It is as of right now.
Oh, you're salty, aren't you? That must hit you.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to talk about it here at the fucking our game recaps, because I'm thoroughly upset by that game. If you want to round out our highest scorers.
Yeah, our last one is back to the Commanders side of things, is Terry McLaurin. 27.3 points. Just missed that 4th slot to Bucky. And just a few more points behind Jaden Daniels at 27.64. Terry McLaurin had 8 receptions for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. Another great performance from him. He's one of those top receivers that I don't see getting a lot of credit. Maybe a top 10, top 15 overall receiver in the league. And with a quarterback that's, turning up the heat in DC, maybe somebody you should look at picking up early to mid rounds during the next year's draft. So keep him in mind for sure.
Yeah, that rounds out the top 5 for that. And like we said, Jerry Judy's the number one on as of now, so that bumps everybody down a spot. But again, we're halfway through the third quarter, and on the Broncos whooping up on the Cleveland Browns game. So this is coming from me, and I'm not even a Bronco fan. From Colorado, not a Bronco fan. But so we get the highest. Now we're going to roll into the lowest as we usually do. We're going to start off with Aaron Jones for the Vikings. 9.8 points, 5 carries, 22 yards. I wrote 222. That's not right. 3 receptions, 6 yards, 1 touchdown, and unfortunately a fumble loss. He did get benched for a little bit in this game, and I think it was just simply due to the fact that he was fumbling in key situations, but he did come through and catch and caught what ended up being the game-winning touchdown at the end.
Yeah. It was like a minute and 11 left.
Tough to see somebody get benched like that, especially a player Aaron Jones' caliber getting benched, and then but luckily he was at least given the opportunity by the coaching staff to come back in, because I think they knew, hey, this is our guy, like clutch moment, he'll come through, but still hurts you in fantasy wise.
Yeah, and you take out that touchdown with a minute some change left, he's only got 3.8 points minus and take out some of the yards, which I think it was only like a 4 or 5 yard catch.
Take out the point for the catch too.
That's true. Yeah, if you're in a PPR league, I mean, you're looking at, you take it out, you're down 7 points, just right, 7.5 points.
Yeah,
so
you're not even breaking 3.
That's a sub 3 point game for him.
Yeah, that's
so.
But I guess the silver lining is the touchdown at least.
That's true. Yeah, that is the saving grace for all of you who'd picked him up, and rightfully so. That's a big name. He carries a lot of weight with a new team, with a team that's doing really well too. An off week for Aaron Jones. I don't think we've talked about him as a low scorer before. I don't think he's been a top scorer for us this week or this year, but he's not been a missing production until this week, I will say. The Vikings have had their struggles on offense for sure. Who doesn't? But Aaron Jones doesn't seem to be part of the struggle until this week. And unfortunately for the Vikings, they were able to clinch the win by a point to keep their chase for first place against Detroit in close check.
Yep, agreed. It just I don't think like you said, he hasn't been our highest scorer. I don't think he's been our lowest scorer that I can recall either, but he's kind of been like that mid-range, like solid 15-ish points. You can kind of rely on that to get. So granted 9 points, like you said earlier, though, had it not been for that touchdown, it would have been sub 3 points, which is hurts you fantasy wise, but it is what it is.
The next lowest score is somebody that I always look at picking up, which it might be time to maybe replace him, but is old Justin Tucker. I say old, but he's technically not old by kicker standards. But Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals, easy field goals, and an extra point. You could tell that he was visibly frustrated after the second missed field goal, which was his last kick of the night. You take away those 6 points and the field goals and the extra point, 7 more points, and that would have given Baltimore the win over Philadelphia. So it's tough to have that kind of mentality for Justin Tucker, knowing that when he missed the field goals, I think in both scenarios he was down by 3 points in both times, and the kick would have ultimately tied it for him. So
I saw 7 points. That the Ravens have lost, the games they've lost this season have been by 22 points. Justin Tucker has missed 22 points worth of field goals and extra points.
That's a rough statistic.
Yeah. Thought that was pretty interesting. Which, I mean, is good for me. I'm not a big Baltimore Ravens fan.
I'm
Just
not
'cause-
either, but I do like Justin Tucker. He's done me good in fantasy leagues, and it's tough to see him go through this now. But I mean, kickers are a dime a dozen, and
Kansas City Magic, dude. Ever since he decided to start kicking field goals when Mahomes was practicing that playoff game, it's been fucking downhill since.
yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
But yep, next one, Kenneth Walker for the Seattle Seahawks. 6.6 points, 16 carries, 49 yards, 2 receptions for -3 yards. Yikes.
Yeah.
That
16
-3
carries
yards.
and you only muster up 6.6 points. That's not a good. It's not a good day.
And granted, and it's against the Jets defense too, which hasn't looked like they've looked before.
Yeah, I will say that the Jets did play with some pizzazz, but also it seemed like Walker was getting kind of the shitty run attempts. It's like, hey, we're 3rd and 8 or 2nd and 8, and we need to pick up all these yards, and we're going to give you an outside pitch, and the Jets are just all over him, like tackle for loss. You could tell Walker's frustrated, and I don't feel like. I mean, yeah, he's frustrated at his own performance, but I feel like he's more frustrated with the play call.
Yeah. 100%. Which is unfortunate because Kenneth Walker, especially last season, for those that had him in fantasy, was one of the better running backs too, as far as fantasy went, and just in the league in general. And it's hopefully he gets back on, especially for those people that have him that are hopefully in the playoff push.
Yeah, I agree.
But all right, next section.
All right, our bets. I love the bets. I did the bets this week, and I already placed the bet like I do during every podcast. I place these bets live, so if I win, you win. If I lose, you lose, or if you lose, I lose as well. Whatever you want to say. We're in it together. I got 4 picks for you this week. A couple of surprising picks, I'd say, or maybe some safety picks. The first one, I would call it a safety bet, which is the Lions -3.5 spread over the Packers with odds of -102. I think the Lions are going to score a lot. I don't think the Packers are going to score as much. And I think they're going to beat them by at least 4 points. So pretty much sums up why I picked that one. Very simple mindset for a very simple-minded man who wants to win money. And if you're thinking like me, then I think you should bet that one as well.
I will throw the caveat in there too that the Lions just lost one of their key linebackers, Malcolm Rodriguez, with I believe it was an ACL injury. I know it was a knee injury for sure.
Yeah.
So he's going to be out for a few weeks. So keep that in mind when you're picking the Lions defense. Granted, Lions offense can score a shit ton of points, and yeah, not a terrible bet though.
And with the fact that it's a division rivalry game too, I think it's going to be a good watch. There's always a lot of good rivalry games that happen. Just this past week was the Steelers and Bengals game. Bengals came out, showed up, but couldn't win it. And they're 0-7 against teams that have a 500 or better record. So, yeah, I almost put them on a bets list for the Bengals coming up, but they're playing the Cowboys, so I don't really know how that's going to go. So, we'll see.
God.
Yeah, so we'll see. Our second bet is Sully's team, the Panthers. I picked them at a +12 spread versus Philadelphia. Now, hold on a minute. Before y'all go thinking he's lost his marbles, the Panthers suck, because they do. I will say the Panthers have been playing relatively well over the last few weeks. Bryce Young looks good. He took a game into overtime and ultimately lost against Tampa Bay this last week. Lost by 3. He lost to the Chiefs by 3. I think that the Panthers are starting to come together and could at least be within 12 points of the Eagles. I'm not going to say they're going to demolish the Eagles, but I think the Eagles now have the mentality that a lot of people should going into, week 14, and that's focusing on playoffs and saving your players. So the Philadelphia Eagles might take it a little easier on the Panthers. And I think that might give the Panthers an opportunity to get within striking distance. And then Philadelphia's like, okay, all right, you've had your fun. We're going to win the game. Just sit down. Sit down over there. Thanks for coming. Thanks for playing. But the plus 12 spread is something that I like. It's the biggest spread of the week. And all these odds and spreads are on DraftKings, but a plus 12 spread looks really good for an NFL game. It's the second biggest one I think I've seen all year. The biggest one I think was a 13-point spread for Jacksonville a couple weeks ago. But
against the Lions, yeah. Yesterday when those odds opened up, they were plus 14 on the spread.
Okay.
So they've closed a little bit.
Yeah.
But
okay. As they normally do.
Another bet I put in too in that game that we haven't mentioned, but I'm just gonna say I'd put Barkley at over 200 rushing yards in that game.
That's a big bet.
As much as dude, Carolina's run defense is god awful. I mean, they gave up 152 yards to Bucky Irving.
That's true.
And Bucky Irving is definitely not in the same category as Saquon Barkley. So,
yeah, I don't know. I would like to see it happen, but I like I said, I think it's starting to get into that mindset of resting your players, letting them go in for key downs. And I'm not saying Barkley's not going to play at all, and he's probably going to play a good chunk. But if he has a good night where he's got, 100 yards, I'm sure they might yank him because they're probably whooping Panthers' ass at that point. So who knows, though? Who knows?
We'll see. We'll see Sunday.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. So keep that in mind. That bet of plus 12 spread for the Panthers is at negative 110. So that's your traditional underdog spread bet line. The third bet for the week I have is the Vikings at a -5 spread over the Falcons. And the odds for that are negative 108, so a little bit closer to that 100 even line. We kind of talked about the Minnesota game this week. They keep the magic rolling, is what I wrote in the script. I don't know why I decided to keep the magic rolling. But they keep the magic alive. And Atlanta, on the other side of the contest here, Atlanta's falling apart. Kurt Coe, he might have a great game against his former team, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of one where Sam Darnold's going to take the cake because he's got more to prove than Kurt Coe does. New quarterback, new team, trying to fight for that first place division. They have a lot more to lose versus Atlanta that's just, at this point, losing 3 in a row. They were in first place. Now they're just struggling to survive in the playoff picture. They have, a lot more to think about in that situation. So I think the Vikings are going to take that -5 spread over the Falcons since it's starting to come apart over in Atlanta. But
doesn't help that Kirk Cousins throwing 4 fucking interceptions in a game either.
Yeah, well, and they said they're going to keep him on they're not going to bench him. So just keep that in mind. That's another good mentality to think about, at least betting wise, for that matchup. And then the last one I got for the 4 games of my bets this week is the Seattle Seahawks are +3 versus the Cardinals, which is a negative 115. So a little bit of the lower odds. I like that matchup because I think the Seahawks, they're averaging, in my opinion, more points than the Cardinals. I don't know what the actual statistics are, but it seems like every time I look at the scores, the Seahawks are somehow finding ways to win, and the Cardinals are finding a way to lose. They're scoring. The Cardinals are a very explosive offense, but very little explosiveness. They get a big play here and there, they score a touchdown here and there, and then they kind of go stagnant. Their defense gives up a lot of points, a lot of key 3rd down, 4th down conversions, as we saw against the Vikings. That shouldn't have happened. The game should have been over multiple times on the last drive for the Vikings. And Seattle's defense just finds a way to win, finds a way to get interceptions. They find a way to get pick sixes. They return the ball. Their offense looks a lot better than it did a couple weeks ago when Geno Smith kind of took the blame on one of the losses for throwing so many interceptions. I think it was 3 interceptions. So I like the +3 odds for Seattle versus the Cardinals at -115. And if you put all 4 of those bets in a parlay, you get a total of +1261 odds, which means if you bet $10, you can win a total of $136.13. So not a bad takeaway from those games.
Nope. Not subjects to change. I'll put that out there too.
Yeah, true. Very true. All right.
Yeah. So when you guys lose money because of Zach, remember, email us. Reach out to Zach on Twitter or X or Instagram, whatever you're on.
Just remember that I also lost money. Just so y'all are aware, I put the odds in.
He probably put like 10 cents in, so he's gonna have you all bet like a couple $100, and he's gonna put in like 37 cents. Like he's done before.
I do like betting the, what are they called? The round robins. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The round robins. Yeah. Those are good. I put like 10 cents down for each round robin, and you end up making a chunk of money. So I think I talked about those a couple times too.
Yep. All right, scores and game recaps. Our last little segment.
Let's talk about Kansas City. I know you are just dying to talk about your favorite team, Kansas City, winning again.
Dude, my favorite team. No, there, buddy. We've established that it's your favorite team. We know you love the whole Taylor Swift thing, as it was on the episode either last week or the week before.
I do love me some T Swift.
See? It's a fucking cult following. Anyway.
And if you're telling people you don't like Taylor Swift, this is for anybody listening, you're a liar.
I can tell you flat out I don't, and I'm definitely not a liar.
You're a liar. There's two types of people in this world. People who love Taylor Swift and liars.
Okay. Let's take a look at my Spotify and see how much Taylor Swift I have on my Spotify. I can tell you now, none. But Kansas City somehow gets the fucking win over, I'm going to go ahead and say it correctly for Zach so he doesn't try to correct me again, the Las Vegas Raiders. I said Oakland last week, and he, cried. 19-17. I thought that game, it was coming down to the end. It was interesting. The Raiders had the ball. The play was blown dead, clearly blown dead. You can hear it blown. And a player fumbled. Kansas City picked it up. And yet that play all of a sudden was allowed to stand. So, I don't know. Everyone's conspiracy theories about KC's paying off the refs and everything else. I don't know. All these things are starting to look a little bit more suspicious to me. And it's not saying it's true. Not saying the NFL is rigged. But, I mean, goddamn. Like, that shit couldn't have been any more blatant. Like, let's just give Kansas City the win.
Yeah, that's like when you got an umpire behind home plate and it's like a blowout game and he's like, I'm calling everything a strike just to get this game over with.
Yeah, that was just fucking ridiculous, especially in a close game, a division game, and a Black Friday game. I know the NFL's, this is their second Black Friday game this year. And I just don't understand how you can be like, okay, cool, close game. Nope, plays dead. Actually, no, Kansas City got the ball. Yeah, so okay, it stands. It's good. We didn't actually blow the whistle. It was fake. So yeah, no, I just fucking don't get that.
Yeah,
Kansas City in their fucking black magic again.
Yeah, their Black Friday magic wins them again. For some reason, it's that voodoo. It's that pagan voodooism over there in Missouri.
And we're talking about this is a fucking Kansas City Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes' fucking commercial that's on right now.
Tell me you don't like KC without telling me you don't like KC.
Probably my favorite team.
You heard it here, folks. Caught in 4K.
On 4K with no video, so it could have been in fucking no K and it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, I wrote up about the Jets here blowing the lead to Seattle. The Jets came out swinging. They were up. Rodgers threw 2 passing touchdowns to Aaron Jones in the first quarter, and the Jets just looked like all of a sudden they could turn their season around. That was not the case, however, when they failed to score any points in the second half and ended up blowing the lead to the Seahawks, and they go back to a losing streak of 3, and now it's a 3-9 record for the Jets. Could have been 4-8, not like it would have made too much of a difference, but the beginning of the week, they were talking about we have full faith in Rodgers, this, that, and the other. Now with how disappointing the performance was, I think Rodgers' future isn't only in question with the Jets. I think his future in football is in question as well. And sorry, I just watched Jameis Winston get sacked for like 40 yards, and I hope he gets benched. I don't like the guy. So we're
Hey,
back to
you are really here in 4K because apparently you can hear in fucking 4K. I'm just gonna go and like point that out too. You really here in 4K? Yeah, fuck out of here.
Well, we'll see. But yeah, so Jets are losing. What's new? Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the Jets.
Yeah, not much to really talk about.
There's not.
It's repeating the same thing fucking every week with them. You know, you have a team that everyone thought on paper was supposed to be great. Defense is just was good last year, and they're just shit in the bed now. But
Yeah,
I don't see Rodgers coming back at all to the Jets, let alone coming back to football. I'm almost wanting to say that he's going to hang it up at the end of the year, as much as he doesn't want to go out on such a shitty note. But I just don't see any team being like, you know what, let's go ahead and sign 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers after he just came off statistically one of his worst seasons in the NFL to any sort of contract, especially when, you know, he could just hang it up again. If he comes out, hangs up and comes out and plays next year, but who the fuck knows? But right. I digress about the Jets. We've talked about them enough, I feel like, on the podcast.
all right, now let's talk about your real favorite team.
Yeah, so, fucking Carolina Panthers, man. The game they played a good game in the first half. They came out, did what they needed to do, held Mike Evans in check, held K. Dotton in check, and honestly held Bucky Irving, too, which was my biggest fear going into that game, is it pretty much everybody knows that either follows the podcast or just follows football in general. Carolina has one of the worst defenses, if not the worst defenses, and they were previously on track to have the most points scored against them in a season, and they looked like they were holding it together in the first half of this game. I was extremely impressed. Bryce Young had a career day in his first half. I think he threw for like 184 yards, had a rushing TD, looked good, looked like the Alabama player that everyone was expecting to see with Bryce Young, which I think we've kind of briefly talked about it before on the podcast too. Just you have high round draft picks, especially for quarterbacks and stuff, that I almost feel like they're pushed into playing too soon, and it ends up hurting their development. Maybe this is just, you know, my way of looking at it, and I'm crazy, but you go through, I mean, you look at Anthony Richardson, same thing. You know, he gets benched for a couple weeks, you know, hey, sit down, clear your head type stuff. Bryce Young was pretty much all but written off in Carolina, and I'm not going to lie, I was one of those people in that boat that pretty much wrote him off, that, you know, he wasn't ready for the NFL. You know, trade him away, get what we can for him, you know, chalk it up to another fucking rebuilding season again, you know, and a couple more years of rebuilding. But last couple weeks, like Zach mentioned earlier, now the kid's looking better, especially over the last like 2 to 3, almost 4 weeks now, looking better, making smart decisions, not turning the ball over, using his legs to help extend plays, making throws that realistically shouldn't have been made. Granted, some of that comes down to, you know, Adam Thielen and Xavier Leggett making catches that were either one-handed or just insane catches and stuff in the end zone that ended up being overturned as not a touchdown, which unfortunately hurt us. And then the second half rolls through, and I don't fucking know what happened. Carolina's defense just kind of shit the bed. Bucky Irving, I mean, how we said it earlier, put up 157 rushing yards, and just looked like it just seemed like the Panthers D just fucking gave up in the second half. Bryce Young was still making, you know, smart decisions. Like I said, didn't turn over the ball any. And yeah, it doesn't help too that our kicker missed 2 field goals earlier in the day, which would have prevented us from going to overtime and eventually losing. Which sucks because Eddie Pinheiro was the highest, most accurate kicker in the NFL up until then, behind Atlanta's kicker Younghoe Koo. So yeah, that was a little bit heartbreaking. And then 30 seconds left in the game, Bucks have the ball. You know, we just scored the touchdown. We're up. And the Bucks able to march down, kick the field goal, tie it up. And then they get the ball in OT. We hold them, which is impressive. Didn't think that was going to happen. And get the ball back on a punt. First possession, Bryce Young converts on a key third down to Adam Thielen, well within field goal range. And next play, ball goes to Chuba Hubbard, and he fumbles and unfortunately loses the fumble. Bucks recover it. and we're able to just march down the field in like 3 plays and make basically a 22-yard chip shot field goal for the game winner in overtime. Heartbreak, unfortunate. Honestly, I didn't think the Panthers hung in there a little bit better than I thought they were going to. I think they were plus 210 or 215 underdogs going into that game. I'm at the point now where Bryce Young can only do so much before. Now you gotta sit there and start looking at the defense, being like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, it's tough, but you're right. I think the defense is the key factor, but to be fair, that one of the two, both of them, both offense and defense, were failing for a couple of weeks. Up until the good string that the offense has had, probably the last 3 weeks or so, where Bryce Young has really kind of turned it on. And you take away the statistics that the Panthers are doing on offense, and what if the defense turns it up? Then you're looking at the offense and you're like, well, come on, you do something, poking it with a stick and like, hey, come on, do something, But so to be fair to the defense, yeah, they were obviously the first or the other one that's not quite picking up the slack. And it's especially tough when your team hasn't been performing well at all throughout the season. And now, the offense is picking it up. You're expecting the defense to kind of spin it around as well. Maybe they do. Maybe there's something that they're missing and they're going to ignite that spark in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, shit, we still got to play Philadelphia next week. Then we got Dallas coming up, which that one I'm not super worried about now. But then we play Tampa again in the Saints. I think it's Atlanta. I think it's Atlanta. It's Atlanta to end the game. We're done with the Saints. We already played them twice. I think it's Atlanta to end the season. Okay. But we got Tampa for sure one more time. So we got a little bit of a gauntlet. We got Cardinals too, which I mean, that could be hit or miss too. But
that's true.
Got a little bit of a gauntlet coming up. Not super worried about it. I think we have at least 1 or 2 hopefully winnable games in there. I mean, granted, I didn't think the last 2 weeks would be winnable games, but we ended up keeping it close, which I'll take. Just sucks to keep losing such close games, especially ones that we should have won. And then, your special teams. I'm going to go ahead and put most of this on the kicker because had he not missed those 2 kicks, we wouldn't even have had the overtime discussion, more than likely.
Yeah. But y'all are not eliminated from playoff contention yet.
No, we need basically to win out. I think I saw it today. Tampa needs to lose all, but if they can win 1 game out of the next 5, and we still take the division. The Falcons need to lose out, and we ended up playing them 1 time, so not completely eliminated. I think we'd end up 8-9 and make our way to a playoff run with a division win, which just for us to get steamrolled round 1 doesn't sound fun to me, but I'm not saying we need a tank for a draft pick, but let's start focusing on next year, boys. Okay? Just start focusing on next year.
Yeah.
Do what we can. Don't tank a draft. We got to give up our 2nd round pick to the Bears still, so I don't want them to have a high up draft pick because we sucked absolute ass this season.
Hey, but you're not the Jags, so
that's a good point.
Which the Jags are also not eliminated from playoff contention either, so it's not saying much.
It's not helping much now that now that you mentioned it, we'll go ahead and touch on that a little bit too. I don't know if anybody saw the game and just the absolute dirty hit.
Yeah.
That was laid upon Trevor Lawrence in that game yesterday. Absolutely no room for that shit in football, in my opinion. Blatantly was giving up himself to slide, and you go through, lower your shoulder, and just rock the dude like that. It's never a good sign when you see people stiffen up like that and, don't move for a little bit. Good thing he looked, I'll use the term looked conscious when he got carted off the field, but that was one of those, the lights were on, but nobody was fucking home type moments.
Yeah, that I think that's his first big concussion that he's had in his career. So we'll see how he comes back, because sometimes having a concussion like that can really, really mess some guys up on the field. Mm-hmm. And maybe they just let him rest it out the rest of the year. They're not in contention to win anything. I would not be surprised if they bench him for the rest of the year, just to give him the opportunity to completely rest.
Yeah, heal up. You guys aren't. Yeah, you're not competing for anything. You're not going to win the division. You're definitely not going on a Super Bowl run.
And you're already close to the bottom of draft pick anyway. So, Yeah, it's not like you're like trying to lose out, but you're more so at this point should be worried about your franchise quarterback's health. And I mean, look at your neighbors next door with Tua, and
Hmm.
the problems that he has because they're trying to rush him back into games. He's also one of the most fragile things on the planet. But you put him back in the
Only
game,
behind
and
Zach.
well, yeah, or Damar Hamlin's chest. But
Wow, that was wow.
there was a meme a couple weeks ago. I actually think it was week 1, where Tua Tagovailoa and Damar Hamlin ran into each other, and the announcer was like, "Those are the two most fragile things in the NFL running into each other."
I did hear about that. Yeah, I do remember dude getting a lot of flack for that. So again, if you guys have any issues with that comment, please go ahead and leave Zach a email.
All in good faith. All in good faith. Not trying to make fun of anybody. But
Yeah.
yeah. But going back to the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think it's a good opportunity now to bring in your backup quarterback, see what they can do, and let your starter rest it out for the rest of the year and come back healthy for next season because the season's all but over for you guys.
Yeah, it's a wash.
But yeah.
Jesus.
All right, moving on. Our next comeback of the year comeback of the week was the Vikings. We talked about it a bit earlier with Aaron Jones coming in and losing a fumble, getting benched, and then coming back with I think it was a minute and 11 where he scored the go ahead, or at that point tying touchdown, and then they kicked the field goal or the extra point to go ahead 23-22. And then with about 40 seconds left, Kyler Murray throws an interception to seal the deal for the Vikings. This puts the Vikes still one game behind Detroit, which is a close race. You'd think that with Detroit having 10 wins, they would have clinched something by this point. The Chiefs have clinched their playoff position. They haven't clinched a division yet, but they have clinched a playoff berth at least. And the Buffalo Bills clinched the division with their win over San Francisco. So it's good to see a tight race. And I would even throw in the Packers in the third place in that division as as a contender. But you look at the wild card spot, you got the Vikings and the Packers taking up a wild card right now. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. If they play each other, they must play each other sometime later in the year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to pull that up real quick here.
I mean, you said later in the year.
No, they do. They do. Yeah, the Vikings and the Packers. I'm sorry, the Vikings and the Lions play each other the last week of the regular season, week 18.
Oh,
so that could come down. That could come down to something crazy.
Yeah, that could be the division winner potentially.
Yeah, so it's good to watch that game. The Vikings, they play the Falcons, they play the Bears, they play the Seahawks. Should win most of those games. Then they play the Packers in late December, and then, like I just said, they play the Lions to round out the regular season. So the battle's heating up there in is it the AFC North, right?
NFC.
NFC North.
There we go. He's new. Everybody, I apologize for him now. I'm sorry.
I know baseball divisions, football divisions. I'm trying to learn them. I'm getting there. But
yeah, man has a podcast, but about football. So let's get it together, Zach. Let's get it together.
Yeah. My bad. Reel it back in, Zach. Come on, reel it back in. But yeah, Vikings win. They are a game behind Detroit still.
Yep. Should be interesting to see how that division plays out. Like you said, it'd be a good stretch going down, especially these last 5 weeks. So I'm excited to actually watch that division. I mean, hell, it's better than Carolina's division. So, but everyone's got to make the playoffs at least from the division.
Falling apart, man. Yeah.
But next game we got to talk about, and the only reason is because it's the Patriots, and I love watching them and their demise. And it would be the Colts. Yeah, hopefully you listen. So yeah, hopefully it makes it to this point. We'll timestamp it for him so he can see it in here. It's the Colts winning by 1 in in
Whoa,
Foxborough.
whoa, easy there, guy.
Yeah, I went to talk and fucking swallow and breathe at the same time. Don't work too well. But Anthony Richardson looks, in my opinion, a lot more comfortable running the ball than he does actually passing. He went 12 for 24, which isn't terrible. 50%, not great, but still not the worst stat line we've seen from him. 109 yards, 2 TDs, also not bad. Although the 109 yards is impressive. Two interceptions, ran the ball 9 times for 40 yards and a TD. Not amazing, but not the worst game, like I said, we've seen from him. With the loss, that officially knocks the Patriots out of playoff contention. Thank God. Sick of hearing about the fucking Patriots. Oh, dynasty, fucking six rings, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Tom Brady did all that. And I will argue with that with anybody. Colts end up scoring late and were able to convert on the 2-point conversion. Patriots end up going down the field and attempted a 68-yarder, which would have set the NFL record by Joey Sly, and he hit the bottom crossbar, the padded not crossbar, but the actual post that holds up the actual field goal that's padded. He ended up hitting that. So he only missed it by like a yard and a half, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Because I think Joey Sly's longest, I think they said, was like a 57, 56 yarder. So to go out there and attempt 12 yards farther than you've ever farthest kicked, let alone the farthest kick in the NFL, and just to barely basically miss it. If he's in Denver, I think he makes it just because, the whole thin air and you can kick farther in Denver and stuff. But yeah, still impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I am loving the confidence in the kickers this year. When the Cowboys let their kicker, Aubrey, come out and they were going to let him attempt like a 70-some yard field goal, I was ecstatic. Granted, it was against the Browns and they ended up punting, but I was like, this is going to be awesome. But they were at sea level in Cleveland. It wouldn't have gone very far. So, but yeah.
Not a lot of faith in Aubrey, huh?
No, not that at all. I was excited to see it. I wanted it to happen, but I think it would have been just a tad bit too far. I would, 68 yards maybe. But I think it was a 67-yard attempt, and they had a 5-yard penalty, so it bumped it back to just over 70 yards. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if it was going to be a 72 or 73 yard attempt. But yeah, I was like, this is gonna be crazy. And then they ended up kicking or punting it, so I was like, oh, okay, all right, fine. Also, game update: Cleveland's up by a point, 32-31. Let's go Browns, huh? Jameis Winston for the win, baby.
Yeah, Denver's got the ball marching down the field right now. There's still 8 minutes left at Buckaroo, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, all right. All right, and our last talking point for the week, another big game that I was expecting to be a lot higher in score, was the Philadelphia and Baltimore game. Overall, I was not impressed with anybody's individual performance. I think the Ravens had a mediocre time out collectively. I think the Eagles had an average game for everybody. And overall, Philadelphia comes away with the win. I think it was 24-19. Really, the biggest takeaway that I had from the game was Justin Tucker, that you were not expecting to miss 2 field goals and an extra point. It's just not. It's something to keep an eye on. It's not anything where you drop him as a fantasy player, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna drop him right away, but something to keep an eye on in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, you had Mr. Automatic, and then now he's costing you field goal points.
Yeah, right, and it's tough. I will say though, he did look obviously very visibly upset. But his misses were not shanks. He missed one wide left, overcorrected to the next one to just barely wide right. So he was just missing the dial points. And I think it's just, realistically, I think it's just a case of the yips that he's had over the last, this has been a continuing thing over the last 3 weeks for him. So once he breaks out of it, if they make the playoff run that they're looking for, I think he clutches up just because he's had such a crazy career, especially in playoffs. I truly think he's going to come out of this and be one of the best kickers again at the top of the league. Not saying he's not a good kicker now, just reattain his status of elite.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely interesting, especially like you said, playoff time. It's the way they've been playing, either blowing him out or it's a close game. So it's time to start reeling him back in and getting him right before playoffs come through. And the off chance, you gotta, but the way it's going, hell, you could lose a game by a point, and that could be the difference between you making an extra point and not making an extra point. Losing you the game and eliminating you in January. So
yeah. But I will say that I'm pretty sure, and if I don't remember if this stat is accurate or not. I actually never fact checked it, but I don't know. I got to think for kickers. But I heard that the person, I think the record still stands, the most points scored by one person in the NFL was Adam Vinatieri, because he was a kicker with all of his field goals and extra points that he kicked. So
yeah,
I want to
when he
say,
played for the Colts, right?
yeah, well, he played, he was with the Colts for a long time, and then he went to New England when Brady was there. So he got a lot of playoff games for Peyton and then a lot of playoff games for Brady. So not only did he have a lot of regular season games, but when you're behind some of those top dogs that are making deep playoff pushes, you're getting 2-3 extra games a year. You're getting a handful of extra field goal attempts and extra points for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know where Justin Tucker stands on the total points, but I mean, the dude was automatic up until I would say the last 2 years. He was just not missing anything.
Especially if it was over 50 yards, you're just like,
oh,
cool.
100%.
This is a chip shot field goal basically for him.
Yeah,
this is easy.
and his distance that has fallen off, I would say, in the last 3 or 4 years, but his accuracy has really kind of dropped within the last season.
And you expect the distance to drop too, especially as you get older, which isn't surprising. But yeah, the accuracy is what you hope to maintain regardless. But
yeah, and we'll see how that plays out in the next couple of weeks. We still got a couple weeks left in the regular season, so he's definitely going to get some more attempts. I think he's going to really, dig deep and come away with some kind of different mentality before the playoffs start. Now, the Baltimore Ravens aren't locked into anything yet, but pretty good chance that they do. So that's something he needs to get locked in before the postseason starts.
Yeah. And then I also want to point out there is a new second place in our highest scorers, and that would be Jameis Winston.
Is it?
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy 37.9 with 5.5 left in the game, and then Jameis Winston 34.34.
Oh, the dog, baby.
So,
here
we go, back on his fucking bandwagon again.
Jameis Winston, the dog. Oh man, y'all heard it here first. Huge Jameson Winston fan.
Yeah, but it had
Jameis.
Before we actually started recording, was the exact opposite. He said he should get fired.
I'm pretty sure I've flip-flopped 4 times in the last hour. He sucks.
Yes.
Cut him. He's great. He sucks. Bench him. He's great. I love him. He sucks. Bench him. Yeah, back and forth. So.
He's the greatest. He's got to be in the Hall of Fame. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Whoa. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, 4 minutes left in the game. Cleveland's up 32-31, but Broncos are pushing.
Yep, Denver's marching down the field, but I think that does push us to just about an hour, maybe a hair over.
We're just at 1 hour, 59. Now it's an hour. Yeah, right there.
There we go.
So yeah, that's all I got for this week. Sully, do you have anything else to add?
No, man, I don't. As usual, it's fun. Enjoy doing this.
Absolutely.
Each week. Got a couple more weeks.
We appreciate everybody sticking around and watching the podcast thus far. Hopefully y'all get a good win this week and end up squeezing into some playoffs. And don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, give us some tips on how to be better, give us some constructive criticism. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You hit the nail on the head there. Hope everybody has a good rest of your week, and we'll see you guys next week. We should have a special guest hopefully next week as well. So
yeah, guest next week. We're excited for that. So
stay tuned for that.
All right, everybody. Y'all have a great week. Get your wins in, and we'll see y'all for the Week 15 Pigskin Prognosis next Tuesday.
Go Broncos.
Go Browns.